let's see. Okay. All righty. There we are. Somebody, I think Joanne K, sent me a picture of a favorite bracelet, and it was really very interesting. It had a lot of facets though, and it brought a lot of questions to her, like how to handle that. So I did a little bit of looking and research and things that I have painted, and I found kind of an interesting way to attack this kind of a bracelet. Now, I'm going to show you, this is her bracelet, and this is something that's broken down in facets. So what I want to point out is, you see this stone? I mean, this is very up close, but what's happening here is, you see it's all divided into almost triangular shapes. And when you're doing a piece of glass bracelet or a real diamond or real stones, these are the things you look for. And you also start out by leaving some whites, and then start out with the lightest colors, and you actually block in these colors in these shapes. And when you're doing it, it doesn't seem like it's going to end up as a faceted stone, but when you're ending it, it really does work. So I would look, you know, if you're going to be doing a piece of jewelry, think about it that way, that it's faceted, it's broken up into shapes. It helps. And if anybody wants this example, I can certainly post it. Okay. So that's one question that came up from this pretty elaborate bracelet, which is kind of cool. Wow. To how to handle it. You just have to start looking. If you look at the bracelet again, you can see those shapes. You can see those geometric shapes. This is very light blue. This is a darker blue. This is a medium blue. Couple of greens. So, and it's like a puzzle. You just have to take it little by little, and before you know it, when it gets to the end, it'll come together like a jigsaw. Okay. All right. So that was one question I had this week. I'm just gonna, and then I did a really simple thing, just as an example. I don't know if you can see it that well, where I just drew the oval and then very lightly with the pencil gave myself some guidelines as to the facets. And that's how you can attack every stone. Just simply geometric shapes and one color overlapping another, starting with your lightest color. In this case, it would have been a yellow, and then building up on the blues and the greens. And you can overlap the colors, and that's what turns it into a faceted stone. It takes practice. It's not easy, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile trying. And you might just try something with one stone, you know, one ring with a big stone, or a necklace with a big stone, something that has something that, you know, this one had several stones and it was quite elaborate. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that stone thing? No, stone idea? Okay, let's see how many we are. Well, we have just a couple more minutes. Let's see. Lynn, you had a very nice example of your treasure this week. Now, I'm going to ask at the end if anybody would like to share. So you can, or you cannot. But I'd like to just wait. Yes?
I can.
You can. Oh, yep. Okay. Who is that?
It's Lynn. I can do it at the end if you want.
Oh, no, go right ahead. We have a couple minutes, so let's do it now. I'll pin you. There we go. Okay, there's Lynn. You want to tell us about that, Lynn?
It's just a mug that I have, and then I made it cappuccino that spilled.
Okay, well, you don't want too much of that to spill, but that's good. And I love your background of the placemat. That is a placemat, right?
It is exactly a placemat that I have that looks like that. It's made out of kind of wood, and it has a million different colors.
Oh, that's really fun. Now, has that mug been around for a while?
Not really, but I just like it.
You like it? Okay.
And that spoon is old.
New treasure, old treasure.
Yeah,
Well,
that spoon is kind of old.
aha. Well, it's really nice. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, but I can comment to say, Lynn, you have such a bold way of handling your colors that I see that and it makes me smile.
Yes,
Oh,
it
thank
does.
you. Thank you.
I was thinking the same, that I love the colors, all the colors. It's really, really, you could sense the happiness.
Thank you.
That's true. Okay, so what I'm planning, I'm gonna just replace myself for a minute. What I'm planning today is to look at those 3 pieces of jewelry once again. And I'm gonna share some ways to attack them. I don't very often use metallic paint, but in this case, what I like to do with metallics, and I have gold, I have all the metallics, but today I've just brought out the silver and the gold. I often mix them with the watercolor color because by themselves, they're a bit brash. They're absolutely too much right away. So if you mix it with like on the Cameo, let me go over here for a minute. Might as well get it in place. Ah, there we go. Okay, like on this Cameo right here, what I did do was I used these metallics, and you can get any, but I just like the quality because they last a long time, and it just has a creamy texture. It's by the company called Fine Tech. They make little watercolor sets that you can get several colors, but I just buy them as I need them because I don't need them all. What I do is I put water and I let it really get creamy. Then I put it onto my palette over here and mix it with the color. Like I used a lemon yellow, and I
Karen, we're not seeing your table.
Well, it's on there.
Okay, maybe I just need to pin it.
Yeah, pin it, it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I pinned it and now I can see it.
Oh, good. Okay. As I
Sorry
was
about that.
That's okay. And as I was saying, just mix water so that this gets creamy, because if you go and try to mix your watercolor color with something that's too dry, it takes too long and it won't dissolve properly. And I've done this through lots of experiments, believe me. Okay, so what I did after we drew the Cameo, and here it is. Let's see, I'll put it here. After I drew it last week, I put on some masking fluid, which I haven't taken off, which is not the greatest idea, but we'll see what happens today. Then I looked at the lightest parts, the lighter of the Cameo colors, the lighter of the shell, and I put that all in the background, because now I'm going to fill in around it the darker color next. But what I wanted to show you was the lemon yellow mixed with metallic gold around the edge. Now I've done it on one side, and I'm going to continue on and see what happens there. On the bracelet at the top, the silver bracelet, which is this one. Let's see if I can. I'm just going to lay it on top here for a minute, just so you remember what it's about. It has a few little charms on it. One's a duck, one's a ladybug, there's a heart. But, I laid it out so it had an interesting flow to it when I was drawing it. Because I thought, well, instead of it just being a circle, let's give it a little motion, and that helps. In this case, I'm going to try to come a little closer. Maybe I'll move the pad down a little bit. There we go.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's good. Okay. In this case, what I did was I looked at the very brightest highlights on the bracelet, put it back here. So you can see there's lots of highlights all around. So that's what I drew it first, very carefully with my pencil, not overdrawn. And then I put in the charms, and I'm only using 3 of the charms. There were 4, but I thought the other one was kind of obscure. So I put that in the back. So I put masking fluid where I thought I wanted to leave some lights and other colors coming through. In this case, I have silver, which is the same brand of metallic paint. And once again, in this case, I'll be mixing it with, and you have to tread lightly when it's neutral tint and some metallic, because it can get heavy right away. So just take it light on that one. Okay, I'm going to start putting some
Karen?
of that. Pardon me? No,
Karen, so
Yeah.
what we're seeing now is just the masking fluid?
that's all, with the exception of the heart.
Okay,
I put a little paint on there just to show you what happens to the, in fact, what I'm going to do. Let me see.
because
if
it looks darn good.
Thank you. Well,
Yes.
all right, so I'm gonna go, can you see the metallic in the heart? It's a little bit shimmery. It's hard to see on the camera, but it's there.
Karen,
Okay.
can you say the name of the brand again from the metallic?
Fine Tech, FINETEC.
Thank you.
And I think you can get that brand on Amazon, or Jerry's has it and Blick has it. So they're all after us. Okay. All right.
The picture isn't on my screen.
All right,
I
I'm trying
can't-
to find a good placement. There we go. Okay, so when I'm going to work from the top of the page down, just to add some of these elements in here, and I'm going to be mixing the. What I'd like to do is put on some of the colors, like this little duck here happens to be yellow. So I'm going to put on some of the colors first because there's so little color in this bracelet. So let's see if I can get that in place there. You guys can see that, right? It's very little color, but we'll add it in. And you can make, this is your painting. It's not a photograph of jewelry, it's a painting of jewelry. So you can make it as true to life or not as you want. And like always, I have my little test palette here to make sure I like that. Now that's a pretty good yellow. So I'm going to be putting that right over the masking fluid and all around the duck. And even though you're going to have some other colors under there, and you're going to even have some silver, I've masked that area out so that I can go back and put the silver in after this is dry. But just to get that yellow in there as a placeholder. That's good.
So you
Okay.
don't put any of the silver into that to give it a little metallic look. That's
No,
straight.
you know what? I didn't do it on these because these are kind of enamel. They're not, they have a little sheen to them, but they're more like an enamel. They're not like, a sterling. It's a little different. All right, the ladybug has red, and I've masked out the spots so that I can put, the red right over. And then when I take that off, I can put in the black, because I didn't want to I'm going to put the red first. Okay, so a ladybug red, which is this red on this particular piece is a little darker than.
Do you really have to mask out an area that's going to be darker than what you're painting? I thought the dark could go right over it.
Well, you could, but I think it's cleaner this way. I think the color ends up cleaner. All right, so I'm just going to put the red on the wings right over top. It's also a good reminder, like a placeholder for yourself to remember what has to go where. I often do that when something is on the complicated side. Okay, so here we go. And the ladybug is actually the closest to my eye. So it's on the larger side, but the duck is of one size and then. Okay, so there's some red for the ladybug. All right, and like I said, with the heart, I mixed the silver with neutral tint. And I'm going to go back to that because that's what I'm going to be putting on all the links. Okay, so silver with neutral tint, and tread lightly because it has a tendency to, the thing is, if you don't put it on dark enough, your highlights, when you take off your masking fluid, that will disappear. You need a contrast between what's being masked and what you're painting. Okay, so here I'm again. I'm taking the silver from this little package, lifting it off, putting it on the palette, mixing it with neutral tint. And I'm going to just start up here where the duck is, and the connecting links, and just go around, and you go right over your masking fluid and look at your links and try to, that's why you don't want to overdraw. You want to just draw in as you're going.
Karen, did you mix that gray or is that a Payne's gray?
That's a neutral tint mixed with the silver.
When you call neutral tint, I don't know what you mean.
That's actually a color. It's not it's like a black, but it's a softer black.
Oh,
A
okay. I
softer
didn't know.
black. Just neutral tint. You can use black if that's all you have, or a Payne's gray. Don't feel like you can't try those, but just go around, look at the links, see where your masking fluid is, and just continue on all around. And you can see it looks a little darker than a sterling would look, but you need that for your sparkle when you take your masking fluid off. But you just go around carefully, looking how the links connect. Excuse me. But you can see how it's coming together. Let me go back to up here so I don't put my hand over what I'm doing. And this is sort of like when you're doing a painting where it's a brick building or a sidewalk. You're not going in there and trying to really recreate every link perfectly. You're getting a feeling for what it is. You want it to look like a link. You want it to feel like a link, but it doesn't have to be super accurate. If you're a person that likes super accurate looking, then by all means do that. My style is a little more an impression of what I see. So, but I like to draw accurately in the beginning. So at least I start out with a good base. So here we go.
I can't, Karen,
What?
I can't see the screen. I don't
Have-
have a full screen of what you're doing.
What are you looking at? What kind of device?
I'm on my computer, on my screen,
Yeah.
and I have your face, but your painting is on a smaller screen. It's not a main screen for me.
Oh, well, you have to pin that on your end. I can't change that on this end. It's something on your end you have to do.
Phyllis, do you know how to pin?
Sorry, what?
Do you know
Phyllis?
how to pin a screen? If you go to the upper left corner, you'll see a little square with 3 dots. Just take your cursor and move to the upper left corner of Karen's image that you want to see.
You're muted, Phyllis.
Karen, do you mind if I help Phyllis for a second?
No, please go right ahead. I'm continuing around with the links, and when you guys are secure, just let me know. No.
Karen, I think she just wants you to pull the picture down more into the frame. We're seeing more of the cameo. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Oh, okay. All righty. I can move it around, and I will do that. And now we get down to the clasp here, which is kind of a solid thing with a little piece coming out. It's like a lobster, what do they call it? Lobster claw clasp. Okay.
Mhm.
So now everything more or less has the base color for the silver on it. After this is dry, and I take off the masking fluid, I'm going to go back and put in, after I see where the highlights are, then I'm going to go back in and add my darks, which are darks will, just as the masking fluid creates the lights, you must create the darks. So that's kind of where that goes. And it's a process. I'm going to put a little more color on this heart shape on the end here.
Karen, this is, I want to check with you. Did you use the small bottle with the tip to apply your masking tape?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
it
it just looks so smooth. I can never quite get it to look
Well,
that way. But I'll try that.
Yeah, it just takes practice. That's all that's about. Okay.
Thanks.
All right, now I'm going to let that dry because that's what watercolor does to us. It makes us let things dry. All right, so let me go back down to the Cameo, which I have right here, and I'll put the actual pin. It's a little, let's see. Oh, that's not good lighting. All right, well, I'm sure you can see the difference between the lighter lifted area and the darker area in the background. So I want to put some color, and this again is a building process. It's a building process. Now I did a sample, a little test of the lighter color that's already on there. And then I looked at, well, how much darker should I go to make that background really look like that? So the carving is up, it looks like it's really in contrast. So I'm using a Chinese orange, which I adore this color, because for some reason, no matter what you do with it, whether you lighten it or darken it or mix it with another color, it's just wonderful. So Chinese orange. Okay, so now and this is, all jewelry is a very light-handed process. So when you are painting it, don't go to heavy-handed. And you're going to go around, the actual carving now, and go back looking all the time at, you want your edge, the edge of the Cameo to be smooth, but your inside, you want to look like it's going around your image. So, and this is, it's not real, it doesn't have many reflections on that. Every once in a while, I like to leave a little white. I don't like to, put it in so it's so stark. But you can see that that's the right color for the contrast. And then, be real careful around the face because that's the delicate part. If the face isn't good, you're probably not going to have good results. So just be careful with that. And you have to keep going so you're continuous. You have continuous color, and it looks correct. I'm going back to the edge to make sure I get a nice edge on that. She has a frilly thing around her dress, and I've drawn this obviously bigger than actual size so that we could see it, because otherwise it would be too hard to see. Okay, so going around, check your outer edge that it's nice up against the gold, which we're going to put the gold on the other side pretty soon. But you can see how the face is, how the Cameo is coming around, how it's working. Now I'm going to go under here. Get your edge nice and clean if you can. And here, there's a few ins and outs on there. Okay, now I'm going to connect back up here with her hair. And I don't know whether you remember last week, we did some of the hair with a brush, because masking fluid and a brush gives you a little more softness, and it feels better. Now, when you're looking at the actual lightest part of the Cameo, you will see that there are some medium tones of this darker color, but it's not going to be as dark. Okay, now in around the nape of the neck here, just get a little more paint on the brush and down. We always refer back to your item. If there's something that needs correcting, then by all means, this is the time. And correcting or adjusting, whatever you're feeling is the right thing. Okay. All right. So now we can see the contrast. Now, the thing I'm talking about within the Cameo is the thing that makes the shapes. Like this is the lightest part. So now we're going to be doing a little bit lighter, the same color. I'm going to show you over here. So now I have the darker contrasting color, the light layer, which is painted all underneath. And now there's going to be something that's in between. So you see the lightest, the darkest right now, and then the medium tone, which I'm going to be putting some of the detail in. Okay, so let's start with some of the detail. And what will happen is the masking fluid, which is underneath there, is going to pick up on these. It's going to lighten these areas when you take it off. You're going to see little pieces of it. So, but this defines. This is why if you don't put another color in here, what happens is the masking fluid will just be too light up against that real light color. Okay, so now there's a little bit of light along her top of her eye there. There's a little bit here. So now we're just dropping in, and this is very, very, very carefully and very thoughtfully put together. Now in her dress, she has some folds and okay, so now you can see that it's coming along. It's getting more definition. I see one spot. I'm gonna just add a little more because I've actually I'm gonna put something in here so it defines that shape. That's what you're looking for in all of painting, really. You're looking for shapes of things, but that's going to be all right now. And there's going to be certain. Oh, I should do the upper lip with a little color right now. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go and put some of the. I mixed the yellow, the lemon yellow, with the metallic gold, and I'm going to continue that on the right side here of the necklace. So let me make sure my brush is really clean because you don't want a dirty brush. Okay. It's so quiet out there. Is anybody there? Oh.
We're all muted.
Oh, you are. Okay.
I'm here, but we're listening to you.
Okay, I'm just teasing. And you go back if you need a little more. You just be careful with your gold if you're going to be using metallic gold, because it can just it can take over. So you want to use it sparingly, but use it in the right way. I just thought this was the right opportunity to introduce the metallics. And I'll tell you, sometimes if you're stuck for a background on a painting, what I've done, I've taken a metallic color and mixed it with one of the colors that's in the painting and used that for my background, and it pulls everything together. It's sort of something to keep in mind, because it really does work, and it relates everything that's in the painting to a sort of special looking color that you wouldn't create any other way. Okay, so now we have the gold surrounding, and there's going to be some other darks we're going to be putting in. If you can see on the Cameo, every one of these little facets has a dark color in there, but now's not the time to do that. You have to let that rest, just like we're letting the bracelet rest and this. So now I'm going to go over to the locket. Any questions?
Erin? Go to my cards and you look at them, the ones that have the metallic with a little shine to them catch your eye much sooner than just the plain ones.
Yeah.
So I like the touch.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing. Just like any technique, just you know, use it sparingly. Now I'm noticing that underneath this cutout part, it might be a good time to just lay in some real, you know, the darker color. But when you put the darker color in, rinse your brush carefully, go back and soften the edge. So it's not a hard edge. Go back and just add water. And that's what's going to happen in the next layer. We're going to be putting in those darks. Okay. All right. So we're going to leave that a while. Then we're going to go to the locket, which after I went back and looked at, let's see, do we have that? Let me move. I'm going to move that over a little bit. Let's see. We'll get it more in direct. Okay. Looking at the locket, it is a rose gold, but I thought, you know, this is getting awfully orangey. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to warm that up today a little bit. But before I do that, I'm going to be putting in some of the detail of the actual, I think it's black enamel on here. Well, let me see. That's not a good light. Let me see if I can get a better feeling for that. I'll tell you, you know what? It might need something under it. Let me put a little something under it. Let's see if I can angle this up a little bit. Maybe they'll catch the light better.
Here are the earbuds.
Yeah, I
You have to go to the.
Okay, that's a little better with lighting. I think you can see more of the detail there. Okay,
Definitely. What's this talking?
Yeah.
okay. Once again, I'm going to go to the
When we get to this office.
once again, I'm going to go to neutral tint for this black detail. But I like to sometimes, as well as neutral tint, I will mix a little blue in there, just because it enriches the black or the neutral tint. It just enhances it more. And you don't have to make it really strong. You can just, you know, add a little bit. So let's see. Trying to get this color right here.
I can't see. I can't do it.
Okay.
I can do it in the parking lot too.
And here you don't want your paint to be real watery. You have to have a little more control, and you want to hold the brush down tight towards the end. So there's a little piece here, and everything's about, you know, the shape of things. Everything's about the shape of things. And as you're doing it, you know, you just go back and look at what you have going on. Then you have there's a little diamond shape in here. And I see out here this particular design. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in so that I know where I'm going. And then it has like little lines going in and around. Okay. Now in here, there's the shape of this middle piece. There are some flowers, so I'm going to tread lightly here and try to just leave room for flowers. So I'm going to make some shapes. And then I'm going to put the dark tone in and around them. I can go back and define the flowers a little bit later. But this is kind of negative painting where you're looking at what's around something rather than what the actual thing is. So here we go. All right, now the other side, the same thing. Actually, there's a little diamond shape down here as well. So I'm going to put that in while I'm here. And then there's a little circle in the middle of that. So it's kind of tedious, but that's okay. And then these flowers I was talking about are carried over across the middle piece and then into here a little bit. So I'm just going to go around and leave some shapes for that. And then fill in. And you know, the amount of time and effort that you want to spend on something that's this intricate is totally up to you. You know, it's kind of thing that you can spend hours on, you can spend days on, but you know, it's just, it's your feeling for what you're doing. Okay, but you can see how the details are coming together. Now on top, I noticed there's like this curly thing that comes around, and there's also a dot. And then the same thing happens on the other side, like a scroll. Okay, so we have that going on. Now this piece, this actual design of this piece that's in the middle has like a, I don't know, this piece was in my husband's family, and it's Italian, and so it's coming from the north of Italy, and it's very interesting, I think, and especially because it's a locket, which, you know, that was near and dear to many people to carry pictures of their loved ones. Now this this thing goes all the way out and has the shape here and ends like that, here and ends like this. And you can go back in and you're going to be able to add color where you think it's missing, add more detail. Now, I noticed that right around this outside edge, there's a circular oval goes around. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a very light, because here's where the locket hinges, and I'm just going to put a very light line around that as well. Okay, so now I'm not going to continue with this. I'm going to try to go back to the other piece at the top. Let's see, how's our time? But you can see the detail is coming through, and I will keep painting on this until, and oh, the thing I wanted to say was that I felt like the overall color of it was a little, and here I don't think I'm going to add the metallic. Here I think I'm just going to go with straight paint, or if I add any metallic, it's going to be very minor, very minor. So on my little test thing here.
Karen, if we have metallic, like Sharpie pens, can we put a little touch of that in instead of using?
The paint, you know, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It might be too permanent. It won't move around, you know, it will, it'll just be too definite. That's a better word, not permanent, definite. So you have to try it, you know, try it on a little piece of paper. Now here I'm just, I mixed a little bit of the metallic with that color. And I'm going to try to tone this back because I thought it was too orangey. So,
Is that the Chinese orange again that you used? Karen?
you know what? I probably did. Yes, I probably did.
What
So now-
brand is that?
Pardon?
What brand is that?
Oh, what brand is that? You know what? I have to look it up for you. I think it's Aquel. Not everybody makes it, but if you look it up, under A, what is it? A apostrophe, Aquel watercolors. They're very beautiful. They have some very specialized colors. So I'm a little happier with this, adding this yellow in here. I think that, you know, it's just toning it back a little bit, and there's quite a bit more to paint on this, but you can see that it's helping. And I did put a tiny bit of metallic in there, but not much. So it's coming along. Okay, now let's go back up to the, put this on the side. We'll come back up to the bracelet. Let me see if I can take off that. I'm going to take off the masking fluid. Okay. All right. Usually after I take off masking fluid, I do take my eraser, my regular pencil eraser, and I will go back over and clean up some things. But without doing anything else, you can see that it has highlights and sparkles. And then what it really needs now are darks. So that's what's going to come next. And you can also see that it has a little metallic flavor to it. Okay, now I think, you know what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take the ones out of the bug, because now he's ready. All right, so then go back over with your kneaded eraser, and you're going to clean up anything. If you don't like a lot of pencil on there, that's fine. Does it look like a link bracelet? I believe it does. Is it sparkling? Yes. Does it need darks? Absolutely. And so that's the next.
I'm new to this. Can you explain the masking fluid, what that is?
Masking fluid is a rubberized resist. Here's it comes here. And what happens is when you, here's a piece of paper here. What you do when you put it down, here it is, just a line, okay? And what if I wanted to make it like this? Now, what happens is when that dries, you paint over it, and then when the paint is dry, you can take off, you just rub what I just did with this rubber cement pickup, and you rub it across and it leaves white. And that's what happened up here on the bracelet. All the highlights now are defined to me so that I can see where to go next. So it's a resist to, you know, once this is dry and you put paint over it and then you let it all dry, you rub it off and it's like it leaves, you know, and it doesn't always have to be left white. You know, I sometimes, many times don't leave it white. I go back in and, you know, I'll take some of that, maybe just that same silver by itself and just put that in there just as a, you know, as another color.
Well, an example is what you did with the ladybug, because that's going to be black. It's not going to be white, and you masked it.
That's right. That's right. So now you see.
And also remind her that if she uses the masking fluid, to put the brush in soapy water first.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, if you use a brush, yes. If you use the bottle, no, you're okay.
Can you get it at Amazon, I guess?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just say masking fluid.
Okay.
They sell it under a few different names, but and if you go to the art store, they have it in pen shape. They actually have it, but I find that it dries up too quickly. That's why I use the little bottles, and the little bottles are, you know, they're good. Now on the ladybug,
Thank you.
I'm going to bring it back over here for a minute, and we're going to add some detail to show you now that the masking fluid is off. Doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. All right. So in here, we're going to be putting the dark under part. Okay. And you're going to carry this kind of almost too really thin. And we're going to put the spots on as well. And this is the neutral tint with a little blue. And you can see around all these dots, around the black, is a silver. So I'm going to be doing that as well. Okay. Now that's really the only black that's on there that I can manage, that I can see right now. Okay, so now going to the silver, just silver by itself. And you want it not real watery. You're going to put a stripe up here and one going down. I think this is a little bit too wet at the moment, but we'll keep at it, see if we can get it to work. Now, if you try to make these silver things first and didn't leave the masked out area, it wouldn't have the real color. It wouldn't be there. It would be like muted. Okay. Now the duck.
I can see now why you wanted the masking fluid, because you didn't bring the black all the way to the edge. So it
Yeah.
becomes really effective. It's nice.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the silver again, because on the bottom of the duck, he has like a base, a silver base. And here you might just add a tiny bit of color to that because it's on the darker side. So I'm just putting some neutral tint in there. He has a wing thing here, so I'm going to do that. And then his actual beak is the silver as well. And I'm going to put a dark eye in, because otherwise you would never see anything. Okay, so now we have the duck, we have the ladybug, and right now the thing that will happen next is to go back to the actual bracelet and look for the darks. I try to set it. In fact, I took a picture of my setup before this, but I want to just give you a couple of links to show you what happens with the darks. Okay. Up on top here, let's see if I can get it in at least sort of a good position. Probably a good thing to look at is the clasp, which you see right here. See this clasp? Okay, now my clasp is right here. So I'm going to be looking under here to put darks. I'm going to be looking at the edge, which is right here. There's a little dark on top of that thing on top, that other clasp. Now it goes through a ring, so it's going to be there. And then on the inside of the inside of the link. And then this has kind of a shape that comes like this. So that's what you do with your neutral tint. You're going to go back in there and define all the links, and you make the definition as clear as you want it to be. Absolutely as clear as you want it to be. Now the next link is right here, and it comes under the clasp and up here. Now, in every case, you're looking for middle tones, highlights, and your darks. And you keep treating each area. You have to go around and you define each area. Now, the actual heart shape there, that did not have many darks to it, but I noticed there is a connection here. There's a connection here, and this outer edge has some connection to it. So I'm going to make it like an edge. Okay, so that's kind of how you're building these pieces of jewelry. All right, there's I'm trying to think, what I would like you to do. I've seen some of the jewelry pieces that you all have been working on, and I think they're really excellent. We want to share some of those in a few minutes, but for next time, I want, and I know Beth, you've already done this assignment, but you know, think about it again if you would. I want you to. I'm going to go to the. I'm going to spotlight myself for a minute. Because what I would like you to do is I want you to go to something that is one color, whether it's white. Let me back up a little bit on him. Okay. He's a rabbit and he's holding a candle, but he's only terracotta. He's one color. And what we're going to be learning from this is we're going to be learning all the values, all the middle values. If you took this color terracotta and you broke it down into 10 shades of this, where it's the real shadow, the real highlight, the middle tones. And what that's going to do is teach us a great deal about values. And I think that that's important now. And you can see if you, whatever light you have it in, that's going to be. This is a treasure. I have to share my treasure with you. When I didn't have much money in my life at all, I saw this in a book or a catalog somewhere, and I said, "Oh my God, I have to have that." And then I said, "Well, why would anybody buy one?" So I have a pair of these guys, and they sit on our holiday table. And I just his thing is a cabbage, and he has a bow tie on, and he's dressed for the occasion. And he's truly a treasure. I've had him for more than 25 years. So that's him. Now, another example of the value thing, which I mean, this can be something very simple. Here's a little turtle. It's also one color. That's what we're going to be working on next week. Something that's one color that has maybe 10 values of the same color. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by that. But I would like you to find something. And if you have something great, now here's my drawing. Let's see, can we see it? No, there it is. So there's the drawing, not real heavy duty drawing, just the drawing. And now I'm going to be looking at that terracotta very carefully. And I'm going to show you what I mean by 10 values of that. Okay. It's almost a pinky orange terracotta. It can be really an interesting color. But I'm going to mix a little bit of the Chinese orange with some red. And I'm going to start out with this. Oh, go to the table. Haha. Okay. So for the rabbit, here I have a piece of paper, and say this is my base color for terracotta. There's my base color. Okay, it's pretty dark. Now I'm going to just add water, and I'm going to go see if I can just lighten it every time just by adding a little water, and see if I can get, oh, that's dirty, schmutz. Sorry.
Can you get on there? I can't seem to do it now.
Click on the video, and then click on her name or whatever is that.
Did it before.
So now we're getting lighter and lighter. And also you can go darker as well. So if we added more of the orange and we added more of the red, because some of the dark areas on this rabbit are going to be just that. They're going to be darker. So you may want to there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And maybe there's an area that's this darker color, but it's a lighter value. Okay. So this is what I want you to be thinking. I want you to be thinking when you're looking at what you're painting, how many different values you could possibly see in one piece. And that's going to really help you with painting going forward. Okay. So that's next week's assignment. I'm going to be painting the rabbit and maybe the turtle, and we'll see, and finishing up on the, so prepare yourself a little value chart. Just prepare yourself a little value chart for whatever item you're going to be, and say it's white. What if you had a perfectly white piece, like a piece of porcelain or something? Well, if you look at that in light, I mean, what you might do is you have to pick a color that's going to enhance the white. So often I use a really light, can you show the rabbit again? Yes, I will. Okay. Say you have something white, and then, you know, your shadows are going to be just like this. And some are going to be darker. This is a purple, but you're going to be using, you know, lighter and darker values of that same color. Really light, really dark. And then there may be even one that's dark. You know, that's the darkest part that's on the white item. Okay, so I want you to prepare a value chart for yourself, whatever you're going to paint, and say you don't get 10 values, get 5 values, get as many as you can that you feel comfortable with. Now,
Can I ask you a jewelry question?
Sure.
Okay, the turquoise stones that are in my bird have little specks of black in it. And I know you can splash with a toothbrush, but how do you keep that from going all over the place? Do you put other paper around it? Do you mask?
You can mask out the item. You know, cut a little shape of your pen, of your thing, your little opening, and then just do the specks with that.
So do one opening at cut one little oval for one stone, spray that, spritz it, let that dry, then go to the next one.
Either that, or you can take a tiny brush and try to just give it a speck. Each one give it its own specks.
That might be easier because the spray goes, when you take the toothbrush, it goes kind of all over the place.
Yes, it does. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go back to me again for a minute, and I'm going to just show the rabbit and one more time. Okay. He's terracotta.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, here's the value chart. So darks, lights,
Okay.
whites, and I'm going to try in this case, we're not going to be using any masking fluid at all. We're going to leave the whites open, and we're going to be using just the color of the paper coming through. That's going to be our whites and lights. Okay. Now I'd like to take a couple minutes for anybody who wants to share what they've done, because I think there's some beautiful pieces out there. Anybody ready?
I have a question.
Who's
This is
that?
Sharon.
Sherry?
I have a question. This is Sharon.
Yes.
Hey.
Hey.
I was trying to do a spiral bracelet for the jewelry.
Okay.
But when I did it, I was happy with the colors, whatever. But the more I did it, the more flat it became. So it ended up looking like a circle with dots and swirls.
You know what, Sharon, put that on your wrist for a minute. Let me see what it looks like.
Okay.
Let me see realistically what we're talking about. Aha.
So when I did it, don't laugh. I'm telling everybody, don't laugh at me.
No, darling, we're not laughing.
Now I'm trying to find my pad. Oh, and it came out so flat that I just started laughing. I said, it looks like something I probably would have done like in kindergarten. It came out as like a
You know what? Believe it or not, it still has interest. But let me show you something.
Okay.
What you might think about trying.
Okay.
Let me replace it. Okay, here's a paper towel holder. You might put your bracelet around the paper towel holder so that the space in between you can see clearly.
Okay.
And then try to paint it like that.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that might, as long as it's on something, like it was on your wrist, it'll have that open spiral look to it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I still like it. I like the colors. I
I
like
love the
feel.
color. I was so happy with the colors. I had my little colors in the different little, I made extra, but the more I worked on it, the flatter it got. So,
Well, that's the thing. It needs to be on something.
okay.
So put it on a paper towel or anything that's round, you know, spring it out a little bit and then paint it again. And it doesn't matter that, you know, you're going to see some of them disappearing as they go over the paper towel. You're going to see some of them more clearly. But that's the cool part about that.
Okay. And
I love that.
question, thank
Yeah.
you. Question number 2.
Yes.
All right, this is what I'm going to attempt to do. I think I might get as far as the color thing that you said. I'm trying to do, this was my great grandmother's bowl.
Oh, nice.
And when I first looked at it, it said, okay, it looked like it just had like the color green. But then when you said do the different colors, it looks like it goes from green to like a tan. And I think it's because after years, I guess maybe it wore off. So when I do the chart, should I start, I start with the darker green and go all the way like to a beigey brown?
Yeah, yes, exactly what to do. That's a beautiful bowl.
Yeah, I love it. It was
All
my
right.
great grandmother.
Did so.
A treasure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Anybody else?
I wanted to show you this. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh,
I just clicked the dots at the bottom.
this is a
Is this Lily?
yes, Lily.
All right, Lily, there you
And
are.
what I have is this little vase, red, with all different color shades. I mean, one color, but as you
Yes.
said, and it's actually made from a stained glass window.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
This was given to us by a brother.
All right.
Let's see.
Now,
So
can you
it's been
hold that
around.
up? Can you hold that up next to your head a little more so I can see the full? Yeah, there we go. And over this. Yeah, there you go. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Let's see,
That's
it went back to
beautiful.
Karen.
And
I
you
don't see the
start-
lady.
if you start-
It didn't, you know, like it went to Karen, it was on that lady and
I don't know, Mom. No, sorry.
All right. Well,
I think somebody needs
Karen,
to-
can you see mine?
let me see. No, not yet. Okay. Let me see. Replace pin. Okay. Yes, there's your turquoise pin, right?
Yes, I'm showing you my phone because I'm in the dentist office. But
Oh, have artwork will travel. Okay.
yes,
Well, what I would do is you see each one of those little turquoise has a highlight on it. You see that little bright highlight? Make
Yes.
sure you get that because that's going to be important. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Where's
I can show mine, Karen.
where are you, Sandy?
I'm over here.
All right, let me find you again. Where are you? Okay.
That's impressive.
Oh, yeah, here we go. It is.
I'll have the amber and turquoise on the one side, and then I have the silver and gold pendants over here.
Wow,
Very
that's
Now,
beautiful.
This is the one I really like, the amber and
Yeah,
turquoise. That's like my favorite piece of jewelry. So
that's a beauty.
came out
And
good. Yeah, I was happy with it.
You really captured it. And
Thank you.
I love the design of how you have it on the page.
Yeah,
Makes a
it's
difference.
important to lay it out, right? To lay it out.
Absolutely, makes a difference.
Thank you,
Anybody,
Karen.
anybody
Great job.
else? Anybody else here? No?
Karen, this is Lita. I have a question.
Yes, Lita.
You did the jewelry. Did you put shadow on it? You know, like shadows underneath? I
Not
don't know.
yet. That's what I'm gonna do very, very last, the very
Okay.
last thing. And it's important, talking about shadows, it's important when you do a shadow of anything. In fact, you know what I'll do? Let me go to the table for a minute.
There, like maybe it's
Let's see, where are we?
really loud.
Here we go.
maybe it's.
When you're
I'll
doing
have to
a
go down there.
shadow,
Get me out of this and I'll go down.
okay, when you're doing a shadow, say
Done?
it's on the Cameo, what you want to do is you want to take that color of the Cameo and you want to mix it with, I usually use like a purple as my shadow color. So you want to take a tiny bit of that, which was, I used the Chinese orange. You want to take a tiny bit of that and you want to mix it with the shadow color, the purple, and just so that they relate to each other. Otherwise, you know, it's not quite there. So I see a shadow on this one side. So I'm just gonna, I mix those two colors together and I'm gonna go along the edge. And don't worry about it being, you know, just make sure it comes to a, and then rinse your brush. And just so it doesn't have a super hard edge, you want to go along and soften that. But those two colors are from, one is from the painting and one is a shadow color. And you can take that again and put it up here. Someone told me last week it's a bale. I don't know who told me, but I appreciate that. And then on the other side, there's a little more shadow. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in there too. So that those are the shadows. And it's purple or blue, but something mixed with a color that you're using within your painting. Now, you know what I want to do before we run? I'd like to see if I can take some of the masking fluid off the inside of the Cameo. So you can see how that's working. Okay, it's working pretty good. And now that I've put the shadow on, oh yeah. Well, you don't want to be, if you start doing this and you have your shadow paint there, it's gonna, so I'm gonna stop. But you can see that the lights are coming through. You see them? And now that needs the next layer of painting, which, you know, I'm going to be doing this. So I'll bring it back each time to show us. Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything to share or a question? Oh, somebody asked to see the faceted thing once again. Let me show that one more time because I think it's very interesting. And I think there's things to learn from it. Okay. Well, here's the bracelet, which is pretty intricate, but I want you to notice, look at those facets in here. You see the shape of that? You see the shape of this? All these shapes, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with little shapes, even in the small pieces, they're like little rectangles, little shapes. And another thing to think of when you're doing facets is if you can, it's very good to use a square brush. You see the end of this brush? It's not pointed, it's square. And that makes like an edge to your painting. That makes an edge to where you're painting. Okay? And here's the example that I showed where if you have this squared off brush, you know you can go along and make a nice edge. And remember that this yellow color is underneath and all these other colors are on top of that. And then you need to leave some whites because those are your final highlights. Okay. Let's see. We have anything else in the chat? I think we're done.
Okay, I have to go, Karen.
Okay, bye-bye.
But thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have a question or a comment or something to show?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey, John, where's your stuff?
I can show it if you want, but it's not jewelry, so.
It doesn't matter. It's just favorite things. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Hold on.
And John is putting together like one of those accordion books like we
I don't
did.
know whether I'm not in my normal space, so I'm not sure if you're able to see okay or not.
We are. Okay, so binoculars. Okay, an old fan. Do you actually have that fan?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. And you're doing these in a combo of watercolor pencil and painting?
Yes.
Okay. It's a nice touch, very nice touch. Oh my goodness, you have that viewfinder?
Yes, I do.
Wow. That's
In
an
our
oldie
family.
but a goodie. And What about that? Remember those record players?
Yeah.
Very nice. And that's going to be a real treasure because when you pick up one of these little folded books, even now I take out the ones that we did originally, and it's just a nice collection, and it's
Yeah.
all in one place. So
Yeah.
I think that's good. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Joyce.
Okay. Let me find you, Joyce.
Okay.
Where are you? Next group.
Wow.
Oh, there we are. I'm sorry, Joyce. I ran right over you. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Oh, beautiful.
Well, you talked about doing both, but I struggle with the, the masking fluid. Can you add color to that?
Can you add color to the masking fluid? Is your masking fluid like real light?
It's clear, like white.
Clear. Oh, I never saw clear. Yeah, I don't know that, but next time get yourself, have an experiment. Take masking fluid, add a little food coloring, and see what happens. Although it might dye the paper, I'm not sure. You have to try it.
This is Winsor Newton. What brand would you suggest?
Well, Holbein makes a good one, and there's ones that are slightly blue. If you see mine, I'll show you in a minute. I'll go back.
Okay.
But
But anyway, I did this one. The first one I did with a Pentel pen just to try it.
Okay.
And this one I did by freehand, and then this one I am doing with the masking fluid. But I was struggling just because I couldn't see what the masking.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna show you know what, I'll get up and get the bottle of what I use, and we'll look at it again. So let me.
But I think it works best probably with the masking fluid.
Maybe. Yeah. Let me get that. Okay. Yeah, this one is HWC utility masking fluid, and it's Holbein makes it. It comes in a jar. You see how it's like slightly blue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one I
Good.
use. And then I put it in here.
Okay, that's great because this is just I don't know if you can see, but it's white.
I actually have some of that, and it is tough to do stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So if you let's see, thanks, Lauren. Oh, so much. Great. All right, good. And I think we went over the facets. We went over what was going on with the jewelry, and now next week we're going to be doing a value painting, one color, and I'd like you to have your value chart and maybe a light drawing just set up so I could see what you're thinking. All right, anybody else? Okay. I think we're done for today.
Thank you, Karen.